Hello and welcome back to my channel. I am Mercedes and this is the Frugal Life of Mercedes. Today we are briefly going to discuss the best method for paying off debt um, efficiently and sometimes quickly, depending. So there are three main ways of paying off debt. One is the snowball method, and that essentially means you line up your debts from lowest amount owed to highest amount owed, like this, and you pay off the top one. Let's say you owe $500. You pay that off, then you take the debt, the amount of money that you were putting towards that one, and you roll it down to the next one. And then you take the money from those two and roll it down to the next one, and so on and so forth. So it becomes like a big snowball. The second is the avalanche method, which basically you do it from highest interest to lowest interest. So it doesn't matter what the debt amount is, you want to do it by interest. And it's like an avalanche. And the third one, which some people might not consider this a debt payoff method, but I am going to add it because it is what most people do. You just pay the minimum on what you owe on everything until they're all paid off, which if you do it that way, it can take years and years and years. You don't necessarily really have a plan to pay it off early. And in some cases, depending upon what kind of debt it is and how much it is, that could be almost your entire lifetime. Because I'm adding that because that's unfortunately what a lot of people do. But I personally did the snowball method. Now, why did I do the snowball method? Because I had a couple of debts that were very small, and for me and the way my brain works, it made more sense to knock those out and use that money to go towards the bigger one. And also because I felt like I was accomplishing more, because I did have one debt that was like, I only had $500 left on it, and I had another one that was like $1,200. So just kind of knocking those out is giving you kind of like a small victory, and it really frees up more money to go towards something that's more massive and that would take you longer. But there are people that swear by the avalanche method, and I believe it has. Now, I never did it, but I believe it has something to do with credit scores and different things like that, and the fact that interest compounds and makes the debt bigger. So, depending upon your preferences and your circumstances, you might choose one or the other. I know for me, I was doing number three for a long time because I had student loan debts. So I was just kind of paying the minimum. I never paid extra on it. I never really gave it much thought. Um, but the absolute best way to pay off debt is whichever one works for you. So I'm not saying that the snowball method is the best method. I'm just telling you that's the one that I use, but I can tell you with full transparency, I never tried the avalanche method, so maybe I would have gotten out of debt faster. I'm not really sure. But it's really whatever is going to work best for you and your circumstances. And I don't know how much debt you have. If you've got like 20 debts, then maybe doing it by interest would be better, or maybe it would be better to do it the other way. I also, none of mine really were that like super high interest, because you hear some of these people that have these crazy, like scary high interest credit cards or payday loans or different things like that, and I didn't have that. So, but if I did, I might have done the other one. I've also heard people talk about the envelope method, which I do the envelope method a little bit for budgeting, but that's what it is. It's for budgeting. Yes, you can pay off debt using that method, but you still kind of have to pick, how you're going to do it. So it's like, okay, so I did my budget for the envelope method, or did a budget just in general. I've got X amount of dollars extra. And then you kind of have to decide which debt you're going to throw it at. Are you going to throw it at a different debt every single time? I'm sure there are probably other ways to pay off debt. There are people that have gotten very creative. But you guys should not be surprised when I tell you that the best payoff method for debt is the one that's going to work best for you and the one that you're going to stick with. But I will tell you guys, if you don't change your mindset, you're not going to get very far. So you can go and buy all the budgeting and planning, equipment and gear, and you can take all the classes and the trainings and different things for debt payoff, and for budgeting, and just set yourself up. But if your mindset doesn't change, then you're probably not going to get very far. You have to make the decision that you're going to commit to becoming debt free. And if you try one method and it doesn't work for you, please don't give up. Try another one. And if you try the 2 major debt payoffs and they don't work for you, it might be a mindset thing. Like, you might just not be ready. I know for me that I started my debt-free journey, but I didn't take it super seriously. Like, I knocked out a couple of student loans, and I felt really great. But then I was still accumulating debt, consumer debt, things, not things that were really in need. And I kind of lost track and lost focus because the one credit card that I had was pretty big, and it was very daunting and really discouraging. So I had to really get right with myself and be like, no, I am going to work on this until it's gone. And mindset was the biggest thing, and being patient with yourself and giving yourself grace. But if you guys have debt, I really encourage you guys to start looking into different ways to pay it off, different ways to bring more money in, different ways to cut expenses. We talk on this channel a lot about different ways to cut expenses. Because I am debt free, aside from my car, which you guys know if you've been with me a long time, I was able to put a large amount of money on my current car, but I was not able to pay cash for it completely because I'm a work in progress. So I am in the process of paying off that car early, and I'll talk about that in another video. But just remember, you gotta get your mind right, and we're all a work in progress, and it's not gonna be perfect, but just you have to decide how you want to live and what you want. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys got something out of this video. Please consider subscribing. If you did not know, I have an Instagram, The Frugal Life with Mercedes. Until next time, guys, bye.